Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the SoCal Sports Dudes podcast. Jason Wynn here. Today, I want to talk a little bit about the NFL. The year's zipping right along. Here we are, November 2nd of 2022. We're heading into week 9 already of the season. It's been a fun ride so far. So I just wanted to break it down division by division, team by team, and also talk a little bit about the week 9 schedule here. So let's get right to it. Hey, before we start though, please subscribe, like, share the video, post some comments in the comment section below, and I'd be happy to talk to anybody that has some stuff that they want to bring up in a future video. So look forward to hearing your guys' response. Thank you for tuning in, and with that, let's get started. First of all, we'll start with the AFC East. Buffalo Bills off to a 6-1 start. Kind of been a fun team to watch, and I'm sure are living up to the expectations of a lot of teams that saw them as one of the best teams in the NFL, and especially in the AFC. Fun team, of course, with Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Gabriel Davis, Singletary, head coach McDermott, and defensive coordinator Leslie Frazier doing a great job on that side of the ball. Dorsey, of course, he had that little tirade there, but he's done a great job taking over for Daboll on the offensive side of the ball. So good for the Bills, man. Their fans have been long starving for taste of success since the K Gun and Jim Kelly years, man. So it's been a while for them. Right behind them, Jets and Dolphins are tied for second. Jets are 5-3, man. I don't think a lot of people saw that coming. Like they struck gold there with Sauce Gardner in the draft. Defense has been playing really good. Robert Saleh seems to have them fired up and ready to go each week. The offense has been kind of, they unfortunately had an injury there with Bryce Hall, but they've been steady and not being reckless there with the ball. They had a little bit of a rough patch last week, but you can still see some signs of progress there with that team in New York. Jets fans have a lot to be excited about there with what the team's been doing so far. I don't even think a lot of us would have seen 5 wins probably for the whole year. They're already there, 9 weeks into the season, so good for them. Dolphins got to find, a fun brand of ball to watch right now. They're 5-3 also. McDaniel's doing a really good job coaching that team up. They just, of course, recently acquired Bradley Chubb to help the defense there from Denver. And they also picked up Jeff Wilson from the Niners. So running back who's familiar with McDaniel's style of play, him and Mostert can get in there and keep this team headed in the right direction. A little bit of a weird spell there when we had with Tua when we got the head injury and then had to kind of come out of the game, missed a week. They had that Bridgewater, then Skylar Thompson, and now back to Tua. If he stays healthy, hopefully he can stay in there and avoid injury. But fun team to watch. Looks like they made some progress there, and Dolphins right there in the thick of it, man. 5-3. New England 4-4. They're not far behind. I mean, it hasn't been very exciting brand of football, but they're solid as you would always expect a Belichick team to be. Usually very well schooled on the defensive side of things. A little bit of an interesting thing going on there with the quarterback. I mean, Mac Jones was out. Zappe steps in, does a pretty good job. Now a little bit back and forth there, but it looks like Mac Jones is, I think the guy moving forward, but, be interesting to see if that changes again as the weeks go by. Moving to the AFC North, you got Baltimore, 5-3. They, of course, had a couple of victories that let slip away there. Teams came back on them there in the fourth quarter a couple of times. Like, wow. But, always a fun team to keep an eye on there with, the talent that they have on offense. And now they added Roquan Smith there to help the defense out, which seems to have slipped off a bit since, previous years with the Wink Martindale style or system. See if they can sustain it and stay ahead of second place team Cincinnati, who of course was the AFC representative there in the Super Bowl. They're only 4-4, but they kind of have come off a little bit of late. Not, of course, including last week's bad performance on Halloween there against the Browns, but they're looking a little bit more like the team that we saw going to the Super Bowl last year. Of course, you got Burrow, Mixon, Chase, Higgins, Boyd. You got a lot of talent there on the offensive side of the ball. The offensive line seems to be, getting a little bit better each week. The defense has been solid from the first week there, so they're looking good on that side of the ball. Now going into the second half of the year here, maybe Cincy can be prized to or primed to make a push there. Cleveland, right behind them, 3-5. Will be interesting to see if they if Deshaun Watson's able to join up with them. Of course, he gets to hand it off to Chubb and to Hunt. Some playmakers there on offense. At 3-5, I mean, it's still not the greatest record, but you never know. There's still a long season, and teams can get hot. Teams that were hot will get cold, and teams that were cold will get hot. So it could turn pretty quickly. By the time you look at the end of the year, suddenly these teams that are apparently out of it can be right there. Pittsburgh's off to kind of a sluggish start, 2-6. They of course made the change of quarterback there, going from Trubisky to Pickett, the rookie. He's had some moments and some not so moments. Does have a couple of good receivers to throw to with Johnson and Pickens. They recently traded Claypool to the Bears, so that'll be interesting. Defensively, Watt's been in and out with the injury. Their secondary's been kind of lackluster. Tomlin has never had a losing season as head coach, but this might be his first year of having a. I mean, it sure is looking like it. Like he's, the lack of talent they have on that team, and considering how solid the rest of the teams in that division are, it's going to be kind of an uphill climb for them to get out of that that spot on the bottom there and avoid being under 500 for the first time as a coach. Moving to the AFC South, you got Tennessee Titans, rock solid as always. They're 5-2 right now. Good solid win last week, but with Tannehill being out, Malik Willis stepped in with his first start. They got a win. Of course, a lot of it, Derrick Henry led the way on that, looking like the Derrick Henry of old there. So they're a team that can beat anybody on any given Sunday. So rock solid. Mike Vrabel brand of football. They'll be right there at or near the top of that division when the end of the year comes, barring injury. Indy's in second place, 3-4-1. They had some ups and downs. Really, I'm kind of surprised Matt Ryan hasn't really worked out. I thought once they got him from Atlanta, I thought solid veteran guy, might be a good fit with Frank Wright's system there, but been kind of a revolving door for quarterback there in Indy, going from after Luck retired, Rivers to Wentz, now to Ryan, and now Ryan's being benched, and you got Ellinger going in there. We'll see if he can breathe some life into that offense. If you're with Jonathan Taylor and Pittman, got some playmakers there, but I don't know. We'll have to see if Indy can kind of get on a hot streak here. Jacksonville 2-6. They had some good moments early to start. They've kind of leveled off since. Looks like they're competitive though. Doug Peterson's got them hanging in there each week. And unfortunately end up for them sometimes on the wrong side of the scoreboard and end up with a loss here and there. But you still got Trevor Lawrence, who's had some ups and downs a little bit, but ETN's coming on. You got Christian Kirk playing good. Got some good playmakers on the defensive side of the ball. So they seem to be heading in the right direction. They're a younger team, so it might take them a little while to start make that next step. Houston's kind of at the bottom right now, 1-5-1. And Davis Mills has been okay at quarterback there. They got the Pierce at running back, so some playmakers, but the team overall is just not matched up. Doesn't match up well with the rest of this division here. They do got the one win and the one tie, but yeah, Lovie Smith. I mean, at the end of the year, you move to kind of shuffling coaches around. Had the one and done last year. Now Lovie Smith steps in, and I don't know how long he'll be here, but Houston just kind of a ho-hum type of year so far. Going over to the AFC West, they got Kansas City at the top of that division. Not a surprise there. 5-2. Mahomes, Kelsey. You got Juju Smith-Schuster, Andy Reid, of course, with Bieniemy and Spagnuolo calling shots over there. They're right up there at the top again. Just recently added a weapon in Kadarius Toney from the Giants. So they're going to be a team they're going to be right there at the end of it. So KC's not missing a beat too much so far. Chargers are in second at 4-3. They've been kind of taking a little bit of a slid off a bit from what people were expecting to see. They just had some injuries and stuff on defense. Herbert had the rib injury early in the year. Keenan Allen in and out of the lineup. So it's kind of with the Chargers. I'm not a big fan of the Chargers. They're San Diego's team, man, for all those years. And then they, force feed them into LA and say, here, support the Chargers. This is like, I mean, what are you going to move the Padres up here and say support the Padres to in Los Angeles? Like, no, I don't know. A lot of people kind of have a taste for that, man. That's in San Diego for 50 years, man. I don't have any sort of affinity to them and interest in them. So if they wallow in mediocrity or end up at the bottom, good for them, man. Denver, another team I'm not a big fan of, but hey, whatever. 3-5, they got the Russell Wilson and Hackett combo come over this year. Yeah, you know what I mean? They're I think lucky to have 3 wins, to be honest with you. They won that 11-10, barn burner there against the Niners, and then they squeaked one out last week against Jacksonville over in London. But yeah, I don't know. Russell Wilson hasn't looked so good, and they gave up a lot for him. Hackett, of course, has had some questions as well. So Denver recently also just traded Bradley Chubb, so they kind of moving on from one of their top edge rushers there. We'll see. Raiders, a team that I have liked for a number of years, and they're very, I don't know what to say about them, man. I had higher expectations for Josh McDaniels, but their offense, I mean, has been kind of, they put up a donut last week in New Orleans, man. I think Dennis Allen might have had some inside info on, how to defend Derek Carr or this offense or what the game plan was. It seemed like he was in the playbook, and the Raiders just didn't do anything, man. Tough year so far, 2-5. They've had a couple of wins, though that record could be a little bit better. But I mean, you don't go on the road and lose 24-0 to New Orleans, who's 500 under 500 team. So I was not impressed with that performance. And you figure with Jacobs, with Adams, with Carr, Waller's been kind of non-existent this year. So I don't know. They're kind of a work in progress, I think. But I would have thought McDaniel's second turn at head coach, he would have, he would have learned from the first time around, and we'd see some better results than what we've seen so far. Raider fans been kind of just having to deal with it, man. I think, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but Raider fans kind of used to having a hard, tough go of it. It's like, when's the last time they amounted, like, they won a championship in '83? That's the last time, so it's been forever. I mean, I got my old banner up here from back in the day, man, when they're LA Raiders, which they should have been again, but the Chargers grabbed that spot. But anyway, that's another conversation. Anyway, Raiders, tough season so far. Let's see if they can get it turned around. As I said earlier, not a lot of teams that start slow come on fast at the end, or don't end up at the bottom at the end. And some of the teams that are off to a quick start will kind of level off and end up middle of the pack, or have a slow finish. So we'll see. Moving over to the NFC, you got NFC East, Philly, man, 7-0, off to a great start there. I got to admit, I was questioning Jalen Hurts, how much of a how great of if he would be the long-term answer at quarterback there, or how much upside did he really have. But hey, man, great leader, athletic quarterback. He's got a weapon now to throw to in A.J. Brown. Miles Sanders, and Sirianni's doing a great job coaching that team. Defense has been rock solid. Now they add Robert Quinn to the mix. Keep rolling Philly, man. I like seeing the Eagles do good. They're a team I've liked ever since like the Randall Cunningham and Reggie White, Jerome Brown years, man. It's been a while. So Dallas in second place there, 6-2. They've come on lately though, man, with Dak coming back, Tony Pollard stepping in, Zeke injured, and might be the better of the two. McCarthy's done a solid job. Dan Quinn on defense, of course, with Micah Parsons. So the Cowboys continue to have a solid year so far. They were a team I thought at the beginning of the year. You heard a lot of people saying that they're missing a lot of pieces, and they lost a lot of their offensive line, and they don't have pieces in these positions. They traded Cooper away, so the receivers are going to suck. So I expect them to be at the bottom of the list. And I don't think they listened to any of that. They must have known they had a probably better team than people gave them credit for. And here they are rolling along, man. Giants 6-2. That's kind of, hey, G-Man, go G-Man. That's a little bit of a surprise there to see them at 6-2. Brian Daboll, man, doing a great job. Wake Martindale doing a great job with the defense. It's still kind of like winning ugly in a lot of ways with Daniel Jones and Barkley finally being healthy. That helps. Defense has been just good enough to keep them in the games most weeks. And 6-2, man. Go Giants. I mean, I didn't expect this. Them and the Jets, I think, have both been a a pleasant surprise, especially for New York fans, to see them at this with these records at this point in the year. Washington at 4-4. I mean, they're hanging in there. To be 4-4 with that group, I mean, Carson Wentz has been lackluster. You plug Heineke into that spot. Hey, to be 4-4 with that group, Ron Rivera, man, give him a tip of the hat there. It's kind of a, I don't know, that's a tough division too. So he's hanging in there at 4-4. He's doing a good job with the talent he has there. Defense though is playing pretty good. They get performances here and there and just manage to just keep it tight and able to make a play here or there to get them a win. Hey, win 4 games for that group this far in the season. That's not bad, man. I give my tip of the hat to Rivera and company. NFC North, Minnesota 6-1. Vikings, of course, they just added Hawkinson, so that's going to be another little bit more firepower for that offense. Kirk Cousins doing a good job. Kevin O'Connell, man, great start to his career, man. I'm like, wow, look at this. Kind of an unknown. I thought he's just assistant to McVay and stuff, but hey, he's turned out to be a pretty good hire here. So Minnesota, let's see if they keep this up though. 6-1 is great, but will they win when it matters, which has been the case before? Will they win on the road when it matters in the playoffs? We'll have to see. Cousins, has in the past been kind of questionable in those big games, so worth keeping an eye on that. Green Bay and Chicago are both 3-5. Green Bay 3-5. They didn't really replenish the wide receiver position after losing Devontae Adams. So, poor Rodgers is just kind of trying to keep this team, carry the weight on his shoulders here and continue to keep them going there. But 3-5, long way to go. Anything could happen with that group. They were 13-win team the last 2-3 years in a row under LaFleur. So Chicago 3-5. They've had some moments. I thought they were going to be a team that was kind of at or near the bottom, but 3 wins under Eberflus. Justin Fields has had some moments there where it's kind of like, not too bad. So it's just scrappy, up and coming kind of team that needs to continue to build on the successes they've had. Now they add Chase Claypool, so they get themselves a weapon on offense with the receiver. That'll be interesting to see if he fits into their team concept better than maybe it was working for him in Pittsburgh there. Detroit 1-6, and they've had a couple of close ones though, man. They should easily have like three wins by now. Be right there with Chicago and Detroit, Green Bay, but yeah, Detroit is Detroit, man. There's you got some players on offense with the 2 running backs there, Williams and Swift. Swift's always hurt, but you got the receivers. You had Hawkinson. O-line seems to be coming along. Jared Goff at quarterback. Okay. And then the defense has been kind of a question mark. So, I don't know, just how it just seems like they're constantly rebuilding and having to rebuild and strive to make improvements going into the next year. But it's like same old song and dance with Detroit, man, year after year. It's kind of same old story there, right? NFC South, surprisingly, Atlanta is in first place there. Wow, I thought they'd be like one at the bottom with the bottom feeders, but they're 4-4. Mariota's done a decent job. Arthur Smith's squeezing some juice out of that lemon there. And with Tampa Bay having a little bit of a down year, New Orleans probably having a little bit of a down year right behind them. That has allowed Atlanta to sneak up to the top, at least at this point. But right behind them, Tampa Bay, I'd expect them to, with the off the field stuff with Brady, I don't know how much that's impacting things, but you would think with Tom Brady, they always do it, and the defense, the talent that they have on that team will eventually start to go. I don't know if they finally hit the end with this batch of players they have here, but maybe they're finally showing kinks in the armor there. But hey, it's been a great run watching Brady all these years, but maybe he, could have stayed retired and went out close to the top, and now he comes back and he's having a very lackluster year. After the way he finished last year and all the numbers he had, I thought he's still got gas in the tank. But apparently, I think this, I don't want to get into it, but I think there might be the off the field stuff is probably impacting his on the field play and probably the whole vibe in the locker room. New Orleans, no more Sean Payton. Dennis Allen's now the coach. They're 3-5. switch from Winston over to Andy Dalton there on as a coach. So they've been kind of a little bit lackluster. I think you could see the drop off between Peyton and Allen. Allen, maybe he's just the type that's a great coordinator and not a great coach, kind of like Josh McDaniels. But he sure beat down Josh McDaniels last week, man. 24-0. Long season ago, maybe New Orleans has got some good players in certain spots there, so them in Tampa Bay, I would think, should have an advantage over Atlanta and Carolina in that division. But I mean, who just knows? The NFL is weird, right? You just never know. I mean, every time the underdog covers or the big favorite doesn't win, a team goes on the road and underperforms and loses, and suddenly you just never know what's going to happen there. Carolina is in the bottom there at 2-6 in the NFC South. PJ Walker, good performance last week. They probably should have pulled out that win last week, but moved on, of course, from Matt Rule. Now they have Wilkes in there as the interim coach, but they're playing for the guy. They traded McCaffrey, so they're kind of, I think, trying to see, which direction they're going to be taking it and what they can get out of these players that they have still remaining on the roster. What will be next? I don't know. Of course, they got a gazillionaire owner who I'm sure is going to pay to be competitive next year and the years to come. So maybe they make a run at like a Sean Payton. I mean, they've accumulated a number of draft picks. I'm sure that's going to be a compelling landing spot for somebody. But Payton, I'm sure, will be in demand no matter which team comes calling. He'll have the pick of the litter if he does want to get back into coaching, which I think a lot of people feel that way. But hey, we'll see there. Carolina, though, 2 wins. Mayfield's been kind of Sam Darnold, I haven't seen anything out of him. PJ Walker, a former USFL guy, he's done kind of all right. Now the McCaffrey era is over. You have now Hubbard and Foreman there taking over the carries. We'll see. We'll see with Carolina. I would probably not expect them to get into the playoff race here, but just maybe they can just build on their successes and get the pieces and the coach for the years to come after this. I don't know. NFC West, Seattle's been kind of a shocker. There's another one that I thought last place type team, but man, hey, I was wrong. Geno Smith, you're doing great, man. Pete Carroll, you're doing great. I thought this whole thing was just like a tear down. Start over, just trade away Lockett, trade away Metcalf. But hey, man, they probably knew they had something there. Maybe Russell Wilson was, not as a fit for that team and that offense as Geno's able to get the production out of them that Russell maybe wasn't able to. I don't know. It just seems a little bit of a different vibe now. Maybe it's not based around the world doesn't, the universe doesn't revolve around that one guy there with Russell Wilson. Now he's gone. They got more of a team thing going on here. They kind of rebuilt the defense a little bit with some new fresh blood there. So go Seattle, man. They're hanging in there. They're doing pretty good. It's fun to see. Fun to see him. You got Kenneth Walker on offense. Geno's playing the best football I've ever seen him play, and it's kind of pleasant to see, man. Niners are in second there, 4-4. Just beat down the Rams. The Rams always lose to the 49ers, but Shanahan's got McVay's number, except that one time NFC Championship game. They got lucky and won, but Niners, man, have kind of reloaded getting McCaffrey, and he's going to be a multi-threat type. I mean, you've already seen 2 weeks he's been with the team, and he's already, fitting that offense like a glove, man, hand in glove. They get Deebo Samuel back later. You get Elijah Mitchell back later. Kittle's back on the field now. I mean, Jimmy G just don't do anything crazy. You got your defense, of course, as always. So, Niners looking good, man. I think 4-4 now, but I think they're a type of team that, talent-wise, they're built to I think shoot to the top of this division. I mean, Seattle's had a nice run so far, but I think the Niners got the more stacked roster. I think I would expect them to be able to overtake Seattle and end up being right up there with Philly, Dallas, Minnesota at the end of the year. So Niners looking good, man. Rams 3-4. There's a drop off from last year, of course. Super Bowl hangover, probably part of it. Made some moves that I guess wouldn't be in love with. Moving on from Robert Woods, bringing Allen Robinson, and how does he fit? Cam Akers is now in the doghouse, and is he going to be available to come back under McVay's system? And just you look around, the offensive line, Whitworth retiring, the offensive line has, I think, been a big reason. There's a big drop off from last year's performance this year. I think, was it Corbett or someone took off to go to Carolina, so lost some pieces there, man. I think little things, man. I think also the whole GM's stance of F them picks, trade them away, get players. Like, now what do you got though? You're rebuilding this team. You have no high, top end talent. You're a team of the top stars and a bunch of fifth and sixth rounders and undrafted free agent types. It's kind of like, I don't know. I think these other teams have just like a nicer balance of the level of talent. The Rams are good at the top and not so good from the middle down, and it equals this. I think they're struggling, man. I don't know if this is. I don't, like in years past. Okay, they'll come out of this and punch their way out of it, but I don't know. I just kind of think that this is one of those years, and it's just everything's kind of not looking like lining up to be their year. And these other teams have kind of caught up to where they were. They're going to have their hands full, man. So they're ahead of Arizona, though. Arizona's a game behind them, but now they have DeAndre Hopkins back. Kyler Murray's always out there running around making plays, so that changes everything for Arizona. Having DeAndre Hopkins back in the lineup. They were missing that the first, 6 games of the year, 7 games of the year, where it was just like, ugh, they just didn't look the same. And, you get him back in there, and suddenly that changes everything. So anyway, that's kind of a review of the standings so far. I think it's been kind of fun and worth, of course, keeping our eyes on for the rest of the year to see where the rest of the year takes us. This week, Thursday, tomorrow's game, we'll have Philly at Houston. Interesting that it's Philly and Houston in the World Series, and now Philly and Houston week 9 Thursday night football there. So good team versus bad team here, but anything could happen. So I don't know. Indy is at New England. I don't know about that one. That's 2 teams that could really use a win. We'll see if Ellinger, if he can, how a young quarterback will do against a Belichick coach team. Green Bay at Detroit. Green Bay needs a win, man. They've been kind of, stinking it up. They played pretty solid, though, against Buffalo. I don't know if Buffalo was letting them hang around or whatever, but Chargers are at Atlanta. That's a long road trip there, but Atlanta's been pretty solid, man. They got a team that's doing surprisingly good. They can run the ball. Chargers' run defense better be ready. Buffalo's at the Jets. That could be pretty fun matchup there. Buffalo, of course, is on paper the heavy favorite, but maybe the Jets, interstate rival, the interdivision rival, they're like ready, feisty up-and-comer versus the team that's kind of at the top there. Good test for the Jets here, man. Buffalo, they just want to keep it rolling, but Josh Allen had some sloppy plays there, throwing up for grab interceptions. Dude, just throw it out of bounds. You're trying to throw it into the ground. A guy picks it. It's like, just throw it out of bounds, throw it over everyone's head. That's a better incomplete pass than that. But who am I to talk, man? Josh Allen is the man. He's and I got him on my fantasy team. Thank you, Josh Allen. You're keep it rolling, bro. Minnesota, Washington. Be a fun game there. Could be one that might be closer than expected, right? Minnesota would think to have the advantage, but Washington's kind of scrappy, man. They're team that you really can't, no rhyme or reason why they're solid like that. But now the Taylor Heineke continue to do what he does. Carolina, Cincinnati, not a game I'd put at the top of my watch list there, but you would think Cincinnati'd have the advantage there. Raiders, Jaguars. Raiders just went on the road and got their asses handed to them by the Saints. Now they're going to go to Jacksonville, kind of a feisty, young, up-and-coming team. I got ETN on my fantasy team, though, so if he happens to break a few runs, I won't be too pissed. But, of course, I'm a Raider guy. I got to go for the Raiders there. Miami, Chicago. That could be kind of interesting there, road game there for Miami. I don't know if the weather's going to start getting cold there. That's one thing I always kind of think of when second half of the year comes around, Miami and the weather. Cold weather, eh? You get frozen fish in certain areas there. Not nice warm Miami. Anyway, Seattle's playing at Arizona. it'll be a little bit of a different matchup this time with DeAndre back, Hopkins there. So Murray and company versus Geno and the crew. I don't know. That'll be interesting, man. I think again, I'm not probably going to tune in to watch that one, but hey, Rams are at Tampa Bay. Last year and the year before, I would have said, "Oh, I can't wait for this game." But this year, an old man Brady and beat up, underperforming Ram team, I'm not too gung ho about that. The Sunday night football game, Tennessee's at KC. That could be good. That was like remember a couple years ago, Tennessee went into KC playoffs and got that big lead on him, and then KC had to come storming back. But could be a fun matchup, a tale of two different styles for sure. Smash mouth versus running gun type of high octane offense, KC. And then will they get Tony in there to kind of make a play or have add a couple tricks, bag of tricks there for him to maybe break one or have an end around or some kind of play for him in the book. And then on Monday Night Football, Baltimore at New Orleans. So that could be fun, right? Baltimore going down to the Superdome. Saints probably need a win to kind of keep hanging in there, man. It's one of these. It's at that time of year, man, where teams need to get a win, or they could find themselves having a steeper uphill climb to get back into the playoff race, or to keep their heads above the waterline if they're thinking playoffs and to really make a run at this thing. And with all the extra wild card teams now, there's a lot of teams, you're never out of it. Now you got the 17th week, so there's this thing is just ain't over, and you're gonna have a team that's probably under 500 sniffing playoffs here. So we'll it's fun to kind of talk about. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll leave it at that. We'll come at you more with some more content soon. And again, subscribe, press like, hit like. I really appreciate that. And leave some comments below. We'll talk about some of the things you guys comment on next time. I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you soon. All right. Bye.